Greetings, heathens, heretics, and hungover bloodstockers, and all that lot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You, well,
that's me. That's me.
yeah. Welcome to post Bloodstock again. This is the third time we've done this, third or fourth time we've done this now, I
It's
think.
got to be. It's got to be the third year in a row for the Abyss, surely.
Yeah. So
No, it's the fourth.
is it? Yeah, yeah. It must be because
Overall, it's the fourth. Yeah, because you two went in 2022. So
yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Bean's the one that remains constant. So,
Right.
but yeah,
I'll be. Yeah.
we will talk about that. I mean, we're going to split this up into a couple of episodes to make so we can get a little bit more detail, sort of Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. So this one's about the first couple of days.
and so people don't
Detail.
get bored.
With this hangover, you want detail.
Oh, I demand detail,
Oh my
demand
God,
it.
man! I'm
But you
gonna
know
have
what?
to. I'm gonna be digging deep for this.
Right before we do that, I'm going to talk about beer quickly because I haven't talked about beer for a while. All right, and in my hand, I've got here the Cage Fight beer, Pick Your Fire from Radio City Beer Works. Right, I think have we all tried an ad? Did we
We've
all
all
have some?
sampled it. Yeah, yeah. I've had a
Yeah,
few pints.
yeah,
Delicious.
it's
Delicious.
good. It
Right,
is good.
it's a damn good beer, as are all
We're
Radio
not
City.
just saying that. It
Right?
is good.
Yeah, they're quality beers. They all are. You can get your own rcbw.shop. Go and get involved. But anyway, that kind of sets up the story. So we've got a few cans of these at home, right? A box of various Radio City beers. So I come home from work today, and my wife says to me, "Got something to tell you." So right, okay. She said, "Just remind you, you were young once." I was like, "Right, okay. What's he done?" She said, "So our just about to turn 15 years old, our son." Over the last couple of nights has been ploughing through these beers, and
Nice. He's had his fingers in the drinks cabinet.
he's had 10 cans at least. I think he's more. He says 9 or 10, but I think he's had more because there was three left in the box. So
Bloody hell. Has he got out of bed yet?
well, the last couple of days he's been sleeping all day. And she walked into his bedroom this morning
Oh,
just to find a can rolling around on his
Oh,
bedroom
God. I bet
floor.
he's been having lovely dreams though.
But he's even had the 2112.
Oh, fuck me. Now that is a delicious beer, but it's not for the
yeah, I mean,
faint-hearted, that one.
if he's still drinking after that, that's impressive.
I said to him, "Did you drink all of that?" And he said, "Yeah, I really liked it."
Yeah. I think, but there you go. That's testament to the brew. It is
Exactly.
tasty stuff. It is delicious. I mean, it's powerful, but it's tasty.
Exactly, as they all are. I had the last couple of cans of Pale Satan as well. They're gone. So,
Well, you know what to
um,
do. You got to send him down the off license. It's like
well,
if he's gonna drink, he's got to top up.
needless to say, there will be recompense, and he will be a household slave for the next couple of weeks. So he
Fair
will
enough.
learn his lesson one way or another.
Fair
But
enough.
there you go. Just thought I'd
Yeah.
share that. I told him I was
Good,
going to grass him up on this, so
good man. You're gonna have to find a new hiding place as well.
I'm gonna have to lock the fucking things away.
Yeah, they'll be down in the shed with a
Yeah,
padlock.
at the bottom of the garden with the birds and the bees and the Poddington peas and all that.
Well,
Anyway.
I'm still working my way through
Well, I
the
don't know what goes
campsite
on in
beers
your
that we.
garden.
I'm still working my way through the campsite beers that we disgracefully
Yeah,
failed to finish off.
so am I actually.
Shocking. Appalling behaviour. Appalling
Yeah.
behaviour. But there you go. Anyway, so let's talk Bloodstock then. This is going to be an easy one for me because I can just kind of sit back and listen to you two waffle. So
Bloodstock 2025. Yeah.
it's the starting point. And it's just being you went up on the Wednesday for the first time this year, didn't
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So let's start with that because is it the first year they've done the early entry? I'm
you?
not sure.
No,
No.
they've done it. Definitely last year, may have been the year before as well.
Right. Okay. Well, it's the first year I've paid the extra 25 quid or whatever it is to go up on the Wednesday. Mainly because when we got there last year, it was packed. So we thought it was worth doing, get a prime spot in the campsite and all that. But having arrived, I mean, we got there at approximately about 3 o'clock, 3:30, something like that, on the Wednesday afternoon. And I have to say, it was full up. It wasn't stacked to the brim, maybe, but the
No.
campsite was full. Certainly, like the kind of central main camping area where we normally stay. Um, I'd say it was 75% full in the campsite. So two things. Clearly, they're going to carry on doing that because it's a no-brainer. Every one of those tents paid that extra 20 quid, so it's quids in for Bloodstock
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that. And it kind of sets a bit of a precedent because, we settled in by the Thursday morning and we're kind of sat there having breakfast beers. And watching people arrive, that the much bigger queue you can see. That there's one bonus for you. So there's no queue to get into the site. You pack your gear. You've still got that kind of trundle across all the unmade
Yeah.
rough grass, to the main site. It's a bit of a rite of passage doing that, but once you get in, it's fine. Um, so ordinarily on the Thursday, there's that huge slow queue.
Yeah.
So get there on the Wednesday, you miss that. And we saw that kind of forming on the Thursday. But all those people coming in, they're looking for gaps in what's already a pretty full up campsite. So, it's fair to say, I, at least half of the weekend festival goers must have got there early, I'd say. Maybe not that, but it seemed like it.
Yeah, you're right. From a revenue point of view, it is a no-brainer. The site's up and ready to go, isn't it? So,
Yeah, yeah,
another
yeah,
25 quid off say, let's say 10,000 people.
exactly. Quids in.
That's a
And
lot
there
of
was a
money.
few, but you could see there was a few sort of tractors around and a few bits still being put in place or whatever, but that was all minimal. They did have some stuff going on, so there's no bands on the Wednesday night, but they had a huge video screen and they showed Shaun of the Dead. I think the Lost Boys was on as well.
Nice.
Which we did. I mean, we stayed away. We just kind of sat at the campsite, but we saw the setup and it's pretty impressive video screen. So yeah, there was enough going on, and shout out to friend of the podcast and legend Pantrini, who bought the meatballs. So she pre-cooked some special recipe Italian meatballs, and we bought the subs and heated them up, and we had a proper sort of camping evening, eating Italian
Get
meatballs in the
you.
moonlight. Yeah, nice.
Moonlight and music and love and romance.
Well, there was moonlight and music, and meatballs.
Well,
So that was enough for us.
whatever takes your fancy, but it's
Yeah.
worth going up on the Wednesday then.
Yeah, it was a good crack, it's fun. And you by the time Thursday came around, beginning of the festival, you just felt settled in, or
Yeah.
we felt settled in. So
Was the arena
yeah,
open on Wednesday night for
no,
anything?
no, no,
Or
no, no.
literally
It's
just
just
campsite.
yeah, just the campsite. And as I said, they had that video screen, which was in one of the like where they have Fat Frankie's
Well, in Midgard, in
is it Midgard? Yeah,
yeah,
so that central site,
the no sleep field.
the no sleep field. Yeah. So that was all set up in there, good to go. Happy days. Yeah. And then Thursday saw the arrival of the Voice of Reason.
Yeah, driving a car, his own car for the first time in 24 years. I haven't driven that far for since 2000.
Oh wow.
So it still hurts actually, but managed to
An old man
yeah,
commenting it. Fucking hell, we're getting old, man. Oh, it
it's
hurts.
yeah, I just struggling getting over it, but yeah, it's I mean, I forget how much driving that distance takes it out of you. So might rather be in B's position and sit in the passenger seat, but
What can I say?
no, not an option for me. Yeah, I mean, it's just just couldn't get there till the Thursday. Um, it was all fine getting up there. I mean, dropped my stuff off with the others. Went back to my car for the food and sat in the car for about an hour whilst it absolutely pissed it down
Yeah, that was
Ah,
weird because none of that
Thursday
was
evening.
forecast, was it? But it chucked down, didn't it?
yeah.
No, it sort of said it might rain sort of in the afternoon when we looked at the forecast and like, well, I mean, same as last year really, and I think there's always a
Yeah.
bit of drizzle, but it was quite, yeah, it was quite heavy. So I don't know, I don't know if anyone just sort of
That's a good
scarfed
point.
into their tin. So
It was
yeah,
kind of
I
like whacking levels of rain just started coming down. Which was, you sit there in your tent, you've just, we're there kind of settling in, as I said, and then all of a sudden the heavens open and it really fucking came down. I'd
yeah,
say. Kept voicing his car.
yeah, I was
We all
quite,
retreated
I
to
was
our
like,
tents.
and of course I don't
That's
look at my phone because there's no bloody signal, so I was just, just
it's fuck.
brilliant. Yeah.
It's just terror, isn't it? When rain comes down at a festival, you think, oh fucking hell, what's going to
It's
happen
well,
here?
yeah, what's it going to be
Yeah.
like? But that was what about a couple of hours before the first band started, and that was it for the weekend
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was it off rain.
that's the big one. No rain on the Monday morning.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Monday morning was yeah. I mean, could have been done with being a bit cloudier, to be honest. But yeah, it wasn't raining, so we'll take that.
Well, there's a complaint to make for next year. It wasn't cloudy enough.
Yes. Get more clouds, please, Bloodstock.
Well, to be fair, I think it's something I'll comment I'll make later. I think yeah, it's yeah, I think it could have done with being a bit more moderate, but there we
Yeah.
go. That's not for the organisers to
Well,
sort out,
do
I'm
you know, I
afraid.
mean, just to tie in with one of the things we've talked about the summer festivals, um, we may as well mention it now. It's like one thing Bloodstock I think could do with is just more shaded areas.
Yeah,
It was another hot one. Like, what was it, 4 years ago when we had that super
yeah,
hot, dusty Bloodstock? Um, and there's a kind of almost dangerous absence of shade on that festival site. You've got
yeah.
Lemmy's Bar, you've got that little area kind of near Lemmy's Bar where they stretch a bit of fabric over a frame, and but there's space for about 30 people under there, 50 at a stretch. So
But it can, and this is the thing, it can be done. So, as you know, I was at Alcatraz the same weekend, and there is I'll talk about it a little bit more on the episode in more detail, but there they have a marquee which is like somewhere halfway between the size of the Sophie tent and the New Blood tent. And
right,
all it's got inside it, underneath it, is tables and chairs, nothing else. All
yeah,
the sides are open so that sort of breeze blows through it,
yeah,
and there's always somewhere to sit down. So
right.
it can be done, and that's a similar size festival. So it is something that summers are getting hotter. So
Yeah,
maybe it is something they do need to think about.
I think that it would be nice. And look, let's not start off with the grumbles,
No,
but
no, no, no.
it's like thinking, okay, so like, Thursday the festival site opens up, so we're all in there, and the first thing I noticed, the kind of probably one of the only significant changes that I noticed about the site was they've got rid of the fairground. So had that big kind of Ferris wheel or whatever it was, and the dodgems there, which I always thought was a bit cheesy and a bit like, come on, man, it just reminds me of Ozzy and the Bubbles. It's like the festival's the Prince of Darkness. Do you know what I mean? And you've got dodgems and all these kind of bright lights and
Fucking
stuff like that.
bubbles.
So I'm kind of glad to see that gone. But to your point, you could put a marquee or a seated area there where that
Yeah,
space is, because it's opened up the space. What they do have there is a games tent, and I didn't go in there, so I don't know how well used that is. But I can imagine take that out, stick a massive just marquee there, trestle tables, everyone can sit and have a beer. You can
yeah.
listen to the Sophie tent. I think that would work really
It's,
well if we're going to have hot summers.
it's worth mentioning, actually. I think that that area you've got the sort of a tent area which had the Viking fights.
Yeah, yeah,
Also has the morning yoga for
right.
those mad enough to try that, quite
It was
frankly.
full. It was packed.
And I think that's pretty much an open space for much of the actual weekend. So, I know that Sunday evening before we sort of did the last stretch, there were people just sitting in there, and
Fair
whatnot. So
point. Yeah, fair point.
maybe.
But like you say, those are the little challenges that if summers are going to get hotter is something they probably do need to think about. I mean, you mentioned like Lemmy's Bar, but the only time you're inside in Lemmy's Bar was when you're getting a drink, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. There was one point in the weekend where they shut like a third of Lemmy's bar off, and they turned it into a water station. So you could go in there and just fill up flasks or fill up
Good.
glasses of water. It's cool. They had just jugs of water lined up all the way along that bar. And then we ended up for a lot of Sunday actually, because we were a bit worse for wear, just sitting in that little space, kind of chugging beers and alternating with water and just staying in the shade.
Yeah, yeah. You got to manage it, haven't you? To a certain extent, it's all very well to get on the piss and whatnot. I mean, the really hot year, we didn't drink at all during the day, did we? It wasn't until the sun went down that we sort of it was just
Yeah,
all just pounding the water. So
you
it's
had
not
to.
easy, but anyway, there were some bands playing. So Thursday night kicked off with Dead Flesh, didn't it?
It did, and we were all there, I think. Yeah, just to see a
Yeah.
bit of gnarly death metal. Why not? Fucking why not? Yeah, great. Great start. I love that. I love that opening set. Because everyone's there.
Yeah.
It's like it's your only option, and it tends to be great for that reason because the atmosphere is like, right, here we go. And Dead Flesh are a great band just to kick it off.
Yeah,
Yeah, I see. I mean, I wanted to make a point of definitely watching them because I saw them on the New Blood stage
yeah,
Mm.
last year, and yeah, they were decent, and they've definitely made a step up. They've earned that slot. And like Bean says, it's quite nasty and quite savage. They've got the sound, um, good vibes with the crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we see more from them in the future.
Yeah, yeah, it went down well. But then after that, I was kind of keen to go and see my absolute Bloodstock favourites, which was the Paella stand. Back,
Yeah.
back after a what 3 year absence.
Yeah, after we said it wasn't there, so
And
yeah,
yeah, I
we
mean,
fucked
what a
up on that one.
surprise, you know. It was almost like a kind of secret band had been announced. I was that excited. It's like, what? They're playing the
Did it
Paella
still hit the
stand.
spot?
And it still hit the spot, man. I was over
Oh,
there.
it is good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of an essential port of call. So after Dead Flesh, that I was straight over there to fill up my belly with some decent eats.
Yes, and it's the right type of food because it soaks up, all the beer, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's like eating fucking porridge, isn't it? So.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. And I have to say, from that point on, I think we did get on it a little bit. Um,
Well, you
yeah,
did.
well, it's festival season,
Oh,
so
bro.
yeah, but yeah, it was all out from that point. And then the next band that we saw was Gnome,
Yeah.
favorites of the podcast. And it was fantastic to see the Gnome hats like turned out in force. So I had mine. I packed my gnome hat. I was like, I wasn't going to go and see them without paying my respects. So the gnome hat went on, walked into the Sophie tent, and sure enough, there's kind of like, you can see one over there, then one over there, and one over there. And then as it got closer to the set time, like all the gnome hats kind of gathered in the middle, in the center, in the middle. And then someone even had a traffic cone, which kind of made its way in,
Nice.
just sort of like,
Awesome.
through the crowd. So you've
There's,
king this
there's,
enormous gnome hat, just
King
sitting in the
gnome.
middle. Big gnome. Yeah, it's like Papa
yeah.
Smurf.
Well, there
Um,
was a bit of variety in the gnome hats. I mean, you had a few of the sort of ones with like well, basically the bell end at the top, didn't you?
it
Oh,
did, yeah. There was some kind of
Yeah.
jaunty sort of curves to some of them. So I don't know. I didn't see them for sale, so I don't know if they were people were buying them there. I'm not sure, but I kind of like the idea that they weren't, and people had bought them along just to
yeah.
kind of be like, "Fucking no, mate, we're going to do it." Um, and they were great. They were great. A bit different, I'd say. When we saw them at the Underworld, they absolutely nailed it. And I think it would on a bigger stage with a bigger sound system, you lose a bit of the kind of in your faceness about their
Yeah.
sound, which, is really powerful. But that's nothing to do with them. That's just the size and the scale of the venue. I think, the sound just sort of disperses off through the tent. Um, but they looked like they were having fun. It was all there. And I was pleased to see them, pleased to see them on the Bloodstock stage.
What was Reason's view on gnome? Because you're a little more indifferent to well, not indifferent, but not as enthusiastic, are you? So
Yeah. I mean, I won't say they converted me, to be honest. I think it's ultimately just not quite my thing, but
Ooh.
I appreciated them. I think they were, live. They were good. Um, yeah, I think it's just ultimately probably not my thing.
Fair play. Yeah.
Ooh. Who was
Yeah.
on after that? I can't remember who else was on there.
Ooh. After that, it was I missed whoever was next.
I
Was it
think
Masters of Metal or Metal Mayhem?
all for metal.
All
Yeah,
for
mate.
Metal. That
Yeah,
Yeah,
was it.
all for
yeah.
metal. So there's always a band like that, isn't there? On the first night or the Sophie stage. I think we've had Brothers of Metal in the past, and
That was
probably
definitely Brothers of Metal.
all
Yeah,
do the same sort of thing. That sort of Euro fantasy
Yeah.
metal, and lots of that, and
Yeah.
um, yeah. I think we just wanted to sit down somewhere, didn't we?
Probably drank more beer, I think, judging by
We
My Friday hangover tells me that might have been going on
what
while they
what
were
we did
playing.
is I think we actually went into the main arena, which was sort of open, and just
Yes.
chilled for a bit because there was a DJ, and there was a lot of Aussie, there was a lot of Black Sabbath, and it was just soaking all that up.
Now that was
Um,
great. I loved that. So they had a DJ on the main stage, and then these beautiful images of Ozzy just projected up onto the like the center of the main stage and each of the video screens. Um, so they really made sure that his presence was felt on that first, the main night. Yeah, DJ played loads of Sabbath just as Reason said, and we all had a sing along and paid our respects, I guess. Um,
a shout out on that to Jamie Haynes, who was up on stage.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was a
brilliant.
Ah,
DJ.
of course.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Radio City's own.
he did a great job, and I think it was a lovely moment actually, and it wasn't super busy there, but just people milling around, and you could just kind of feel the level of respect people had, for Aussie, and just I don't know, just kind of soaking in what we lost really, and like I said, paying our respects. But what I really liked about it was um, just having that in the center of the festival, kind of after hours. There's no bands on, but just cool music playing, people milling around, just good atmosphere.
Yeah, they've
Really
never done that before. Normally the main stage area is sort of
things.
closed off, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
They did close it off after, but it's for that bit it was open.
Yeah, no, that's cool to be fair. So, how did me and that man go down then? Because I missed them at Alcatraz. I was
I think
sat down.
fairly well. I mean, they certainly didn't go down badly.
It's an interesting
People,
call for the first night. That's more
it
the
is, but
point.
it's you know
Yeah.
what? I mean, I haven't, fun enough, I haven't actually checked them out properly before or after, so I do need to get on that. But it was quite refreshing, I found. You're talking about a band who, they've got this, I suppose I thought of it as satanic blues rock.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, and a lot of it did remind me more of Depeche Mode's more guitar-y gospel sort of
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a cult in there as well, and yeah, I don't think the songs were like massively memorable, but there was that vibe about them, and I think a lot of people were like me, just sort of paying attention. But for a good hour, bit of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a solid set, I guess. It was light-hearted as well, for all the kind of there's this kind of gothic seriousness to it, but it's tongue in cheek. It's Nergal as well, so
Yeah, yeah.
there is a bit of tongue in cheek about most of the things he does, I think. But interesting, kind of seeing him in a completely different setup, to Behemoth, and just having a bit of cheeky fun. It's quite like rock and roll in places,
Mm.
just lively, sort of gospel tinged rock and roll lilt to it. Um, yeah, it wasn't a unanimous success sort of amongst our little crew. So a few of us were like, nah, not for me. I enjoyed it. Um, yeah, it was a bit of a barnstormer, really.
I was sat outside the tent they were playing in a bar over in Alcatraz, and I could hear it, and it was sort of it was good enough to be sort of foot tapping. I was quite
Yeah,
enjoying. I just couldn't
yeah,
be asked to
Oh
stand
yeah,
over and
yeah.
watch them.
yeah.
So
And
That's the
you know.
thing. I think
again,
it's
that
yeah.
well, I was just going to say, and the first band of the weekend to throw in an Aussie Sabbath tribute, and they chucked Paranoid into the set, which I thought was a nice touch and a nice little nod.
And rightly so, rightly so. What about late night then? So this has always been a bit of a, you know,
Yeah,
bit of a funny one.
I upset Bean by basically zonking out because I was just exhausted. And I can't drink heavily these days, so yeah, I was like, nah.
I wasn't upset. I was just disappointed.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it was decent. It was right. So in years gone by, um, it's always been a funny one. The after hour at Bloodstock in that tent, and like they've leaned heavily on the kind of I don't know, like Euro pop stuff. You
Mm.
get a bit of Venga Boys there, you get a bit of fun, which sometimes works as a palate cleanser. That first year we were there together, Tregenza, it's just like it just worked
It
for
was
some
brilliant.
reason.
Yeah, it was great. We had a proper fucking laugh every night, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This night, it was more of what you'd call your kind of trad sort of rock night.
Mm.
They whipped up the Sabbath again. There was a great sing along to War Pigs. But they were, dropping in some proper metal sing-alongs there, and I think that just helped to keep the night going, the
Yeah.
beers flowing, um, and then it was kind of it all got a bit hazy after that, and it was back to the tents basically. But it was a good opening night, some solid rock and roll followed by a decent metal set, and then off to bed.
And then you can't remember the rest.
Yeah, and then then from this point on it all gets into a bit of a blur.
So you woke up the following morning and feeling like you've been in a car crash, but
Yeah, yeah. it took me a while to get down to the main site
But
on
old
Friday.
man Reason here woke up fresh as a daisy.
Absolutely not. No, because my back and arm was still screwed, and so I didn't really sleep very well. But I got enough. I mean, they didn't. I don't believe they woke me up. Because I didn't. Whoever I heard in the morning at one point, I didn't recognise their voices, so I don't think it was them. So I obviously got some sleep during the
Yeah.
night. But yeah, it wasn't fun. But you know when you're at a festival, your body just goes into sort of survival mode, doesn't
Survival
it?
mode.
Like, you've had some sleep,
Yeah.
you've got through it, so you know you're fine. And yeah, I munched on my boxes of grapes and tomatoes and buns and this and that, you know, just and some chocolate covered waffles, which were fucking horrible actually, to be honest. So I won't be having those ever again.
Yeah,
But I
that's
think they're
not
designed to be
festival
cooked.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're designed to be cooked. So yeah. I thought no, I was gonna do a van food breakfast. Yeah, I think I was going to reserve that for the Sunday, which I did. So yeah, just managed with all my bits and pieces. I mean, at 11 o'clock, or certainly maybe even earlier than that, I cracked open the first beer whilst Dean was still like, crying. I
You're a
thought, right, I'm
disgrace.
ready for it now. Come on, Friday.
Fucking disgrace. All right, so let's go through some of the lineup then on the Friday because I've fucked if I can remember who was playing. Who was first up?
I need the reference. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, the first band I was aware of, and I wasn't in the arena, was Famine. I could because I could hear them.
Yeah, yes, that's the thing I checked
And
out.
they're a great live band. Really good. I mean, I haven't seen them for years. Last time I saw them was Arctangent, I think, which was a good at least 4 years ago, if not longer, maybe 5 years actually.
Trying to get the lineup up.
I mean, we caught them at
But
Margate
I was
Rock,
going to
Rock
say you
Festival
saw them at
last year,
Margate, didn't
so
you?
yeah, they were good.
They
So
were
I
good,
think,
actually. They were
yeah,
very
I think
good.
they're
Yeah.
consistently great live band, and from what I heard, they sounded great. And there's something about
mm,
that kind of huge ethereal doom sound coming from a distance that really works. So
I mean, this is the thing. I think they were the second band on the main stage on over the weekend, and the thing that struck me is how big it sounded that early
yeah,
on. That
yeah,
for a band like that. So yeah, I was quite. It excited me from that point of view. It was like, oh, it's gonna be a good weekend.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, fantastic. But the first band I actually saw was Lock Horns in the Sophie tent on the Friday. Which is great, like powerful kind of techie metal, just a nice pick me up, should we say? Yeah.
I wouldn't normally call that sort of thing a pick me up, to be honest with you. It's almost, it's
I was taking a pick me up wherever I could find one.
um who else? What else? What else? Did you catch anybody on the New Blood stage on Friday by any chance?
I
Uh,
did. I
yeah,
did. I caught a
go
couple.
on.
Yeah, I actually caught some of Thunar Wool.
Oh,
Exactly.
Oh,
Folk metal. And again, disgraceful. I haven't actually bothered to listen to them since, but they're on the list. But yeah, it's folk metal. There were flutes and lutes and jutes and shoots and all sorts. And
Utes, the Utes.
Utes.
Truth, Kev.
basically, yeah, quite entertaining. There was a lot of smiles as well. So they clearly all
How
Oh,
enjoyed what
dare
they're
they?
doing. I think the crowd was it was quite fairly full, the tent. Um, So yeah, I'll give them a dig, and if I like them, I'll keep listening to them. But yeah, I think they did a good job in from a live respect.
Anybody else on the Friday?
first band that I really took note of on the Friday was Convent, who wasn't paying any attention. So I'm milling around in the site, and I could just hear this really fucking heavy, like doom death music just kind of coming off the main stage, and and then like as I walked past, it kind of caught my eye. Because unbeknownst to me, it was a woman singing, but she had the deepest, darkest growl. Like I was like, whoa, okay. And just the contrast stopped me in my tracks, and I watched them, and they're actually a band I've been listening to a lot since. So I hadn't heard them before, but since the festival, I've dialed them up and I've had them in my headphones a lot since the festival. Like really, really kind of like bottom of the sea heavy. But it, that was a, talk about those bands that you've never seen and you kind of they're a takeaway from the festival. That was one for me. Really impressive. I mean, she had a great voice.
All right, added to
So
the list. I was honestly say I've
yeah,
never listened to them, so
Yeah. I think also from a New Blood perspective, I did check out Ogun.
yeah.
yeah,
Um, we seem to be sort of straight up modern heavy metal. So, sort of bit of classic, bit of modern, just no nonsense, nothing
Mm,
obvious, as it were. And I mean, yeah, I think the main reason I sort of checked them out is because I'm familiar with the name because it goes back to Japanese folklore and he's a major Wolverine villain. So, always helps. But yeah, they seem to go down well, so I'll check them out as well.
yeah, yeah. For me, the New Blood, we saw Umbra. Again, so you talk about modern metal, they had a real kind of modern sound to them, but these fantastic vocal harmonies. So in that little tent, hear these powerful voices coming out over the riffs. That was one of those bands that just wandered into to kind of check them out, and they just held our attention. So myself and Uncle Mike stood and just watched them. Again, quite techy, but very melodic. Not the melody coming from the sort of vocals, and there's a keyboard parts and all sorts of little segues and things going off. But when they needed to hit it with a riff, they did, and it yeah, like I said, it held our attention. So that's another one that I think you could, I can imagine them playing bigger stages very soon.
any band that manages to hold your attention when you're not familiar with the music, that's a telling point in it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, you think, yeah, actually, yeah, this clicks,
yeah.
Yeah, I think if we're
So
talking about vocals and newer bands, I made a point of going to the EMP stage to check out Lust Ritual.
yes,
Yeah. So again, it's sort of doomy, occulty, metal, hard rock. It's all a bit in vogue at the moment.
yeah,
There's
very
there is
much
a
so.
lot of that at the moment. But yeah, checked it out, and I mean, my God, her vocals were well above the rest of the bands in terms of sound. I mean, I would say she's got some pipes on her, but she's got the entirety of plumb bass inside her. Um, yeah,
What a reference.
um, big, big. It needed more than the EMP stage. To be fair, I think she needed a proper tent.
That's the one thing about
Uh,
that. When we've said it before that it's almost Dunes suffered from it a little bit. You just lose a little bit of that low end in there,
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a band like Lust Ritual. Yeah, I mean I'm yet to see them, but I do really want to see them. So they're like a
mate,
Helby regular kind of
have a
thing.
beer for her. She likes beer, and she was really asking someone get me a beer. I want beer.
Well, that's just
Uh,
fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
have a
All right,
beer, and
On
you'll be
that
friends.
note,
there you go.
yeah.
Right, who else did we have then on Friday? Because honestly, I've completely forgotten who the fuck's on the lineup. So
Well, so from here we started moving towards some of the more like, I don't know, like bands like Flotsam and Jetsam were up
that's an
around this
interesting one. I
time.
caught a little bit of them at
Yeah,
Alcatraz, but not
We did,
very,
yeah.
very little. What were
yeah.
they like?
There's your sort of classic token thrash band, basically.
Yeah, I liked them. I was a bit like at first, but a couple of songs into it, I kind of climatized to it, and I was just like, you know what? I'm enjoying this. It's that golden era of sort of thrash metal with, I guess, like Anthrax would be a great example of like the melodic vocal with the thrash
Yeah.
riffs, and it sits in that. But it was a lot of fun. I didn't really know the songs, but I was enjoying all of them as they came. And again, another band that just held my attention. One point, the singer put this kind of like, I don't know, mask on and just did a bit of theatrics. Um, but yeah, really good. Classic thrash, no complaints. Had a big crowd as well.
I was going to say because that seemed like an odd booking for Bloodstock on the main stage.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah. I mean,
Well,
there's a
well, but
few.
maybe, but the bands like that, you've had Sacred Reich, you've had
yeah,
Mm,
other people. They always do the main stage sort of, sort of mid-afternoon, don't they? So it's
yeah,
almost
it
standard.
yeah, it's fair.
it is interesting when you think about things like, so later in the day we had Nail Bomb, which we kind of get to, and it's like you do think, well, surely, and that was in the Sophie tent, so you kind of think, well, maybe they would have, and they had a massive crowd in there.
Yeah,
Should they have been on the main stage? I don't know. Actually, it probably made the set having it in the Sophie tent, but yeah, we'll get to that. We had Rough Justice up in the
Yeah,
Sophie tent before
yeah,
that actually, and yeah, that was I mean, yeah, they're a band that just do what they say on the tin. We all had some Rough Justice.
hardcore.
Yeah,
Well, they're in with the Malevolence lot, aren't they? So they're very much of that
I
yeah.
think three of the bands
style.
were wearing Malevolence merch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's
So
true. Yeah, that is true. And Nikki Pantrini was like that was to her that was the antidote to Me and That Man who she kind of
killed her beer
it,
buzz.
it
Yeah.
killed her beer buzz. Like she was not into that. You know, fair enough, isn't it? It's like horses for courses, but Rough Justice were absolutely her horses, man. So
Yeah,
she was just
yeah,
like perked up over that, and it was a great set. You know, and we've seen a few of those over the years in the Sophie tent. Those
yeah,
kind of hardcore bands always go down well in there.
yeah, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Who else then? Come on, you're the ones that were there. I ain't got a fucking clue.
Yeah,
I,
well, I
I
just oh, voice.
well, I thought, well, I'll do this and you do, but I did check out a bit of Paleface Swiss.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
They're
yeah.
one
Because
of his
they're
newer
another
bands, and I
sort
wanted
of
to.
hot, hot
Yeah,
potato.
what's all the
Yeah,
fuss
yeah,
about and all that, and I get it. I mean, it's deathcore, you know. But there was a few Slipknot riffs. There was a bit of groove there. There was something just a little bit different. So I get it. Maybe I'm not going to be into them, but yeah,
I
fair
can't
play
get
to
on board with the name.
yeah. A bit
I
of a
mean,
weird one, isn't it?
I'm,
I
I'm
did. I
assuming I'm assuming there's another Paleface out there. There must be because I'm pretty sure they were
maybe that's
originally
it.
just called Paleface.
Could be right.
So,
Could be
but
right.
but Paleface Swiss, it's like, why don't you just call yourself Paleface of Death or something? It just you know what I mean?
Maybe there's already a pale face of
Dare
death.
to death.
So I
Yeah,
rode a pale face, or I don't
yeah,
know, just something a bit more than pale face Swiss. It just seems it's like a fucking tribute band, Foo Fighters UK or something. I don't really.
yeah. Unless the Swiss. I mean, are they Swiss? Am I?
They are,
They are
yeah, they are
Is
Swiss,
that is
yeah,
Swiss,
that too
yeah,
on
yeah,
the nose?
yeah,
yeah.
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Just
Fair enough.
just a bit
Yeah.
odd,
I
But
saw a bit of them as I wandered past and thought they were decent enough, you know. But I didn't watch a lot of their set, but you know, fair play. I think I was on my way to Lemmy's bar and just caught a bit, but all good. A band or an act, I'll say that I did see in the Sophie stage was Ihwa, which is like this kind of like neo-pagan. I mean, bloody hell, I don't know. So the band consists of admittedly a very beautiful woman kind of up front on vocals and like a big kind of drum type thing. And some shadowy figure in the background that seems to do everything else. But it was probably my big disappointment of the festival because you know they look great. You know, really striking visually. Like so she's kind of got this like skull on her, like that she wears as a headdress, and you know furs and things like that. And as I said, the guy in the background is like kind of this shadowy figure. But the music was essentially, I mean, it was basically just her wailing over a backing tape. So you just kind of had this sort of new agey sort of, you know, the sort of music you used to buy in the 90s on CD, like panpipe hits or stuff like that, kind of like,
Oh, Enigma.
yeah, yeah, I just
Oh,
stuff like that, like, you know,
yeah.
Muzak.
There's a lot of
Um,
Gregorian chant stuff, wasn't there?
yeah, you know, that kind of thing. And it's got sort of got this like bit of a tribal pulse to it. Um, and then her just sort of I don't know, like oohing and ahhing over the top, and then occasionally
Ooh,
just banging this drum and doing a thing. And I just thought it's all a bit. Yeah, there wasn't much. There wasn't much to it at all, you know. And I get, you know, there are bands like Wardruna and things like that which are doing really well, and rightly so because they sound majestic and fantastic. And I think that this was like kind of Wardruna from Timu. Uh, um,
I love the fact that that term has become the sort of byword for it's a bit like this, but it's a bit shit.
but it's a bit shit, you know. The only saving grace was, as I said, you know, the front woman was very easy on the eye.
Oh, you
Um,
dirty old man.
Although, as Nikki pointed out, ruined the entire look by, you know, she had a water kind of that she was sipping from on stage, and instead of using like a Viking horn or something you might expect, she just had this very trendy looking gin bottle, which
Oh,
you
for
know,
fuck's sake.
and it was just
Yeah.
like boof, like the illusion was gone,
Posers.
you know. It's like, Okay. So, you know, from there it was I think
I mean, at the same
Lacuna Coil were the next band up.
well, at the same time you were doing that, I'd be watching Orange fucking Goblin being Orange
Oh,
fucking Goblin. So, you
Yes.
know, I
Yes.
mean, you can't.
I at that point I was back at the tent with my head between my knees, I think. Just,
in true vintage Orange Goblin style.
yeah. What can I say?
That, funny enough, I don't know if you saw the photos. The backdrop, the logo actually had OFGB.
OFG, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
yeah, which is cool. Please tell me they had a big crowd.
it could have been bigger, to be honest, but it
Right.
was big enough. I think it's probably. I mean, again, it's still sort of mid-ish afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think Orange Goblin might be a victim of their own sort of I mean, because they've over the years they've been such a ubiquitous band, like the perennial festival band.
yeah, yeah.
And like I include
Reliable.
myself in the kind of in that like I took the attitude of like I've seen them before. I know what they're going to do is exactly what I've seen them do before, so I can afford to miss them because I've it's all up
Yeah,
here, you know. Um, which is a shame because they're a fucking great band.
yeah.
And you know, if I wasn't feeling as delicate as I was on the Friday, um, maybe I would have seen more. But you know,
but yeah, because of their age and the size they reached, I think there probably a lot of people's go back to the campsite and
mm,
just
Yeah, I
well,
suppose
like
that's
you say,
fair.
as
When you,
being said, it's
yeah,
just
I
the
think
sort of
the
timing,
Bloodstock
really.
crowd now is a bit different to what it would have been 10
Yeah,
years ago, isn't it? So, yeah, it's
I
yeah,
fair.
think it's a shame, but I mean, but again, I never really got into them, so I can't really sort of complain
yeah.
about that
And
either.
actually, on that point, there's something I'd never noticed before, and maybe it does say something about the age of the people at the festival. Is there was what I'll refer to here as the tea time exodus. So around about 4, 4:30, you'd see cascades of people just coming out of the arena, like just going back to the campsite. I was thinking, what's going on there? And I thought, well, it's kind of like, you know, late lunch, early dinner sort of time. And I can only imagine people going back to get the baby wipes out, have a refresh, you know, get their little
It's tea time.
lunches. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
tea
tea
time
time,
and ready for the evening session.
you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
it was incredible. You'd just see like it was like kind of rats out of a trap, like everyone just leaving the festival
Smelt
stuff.
like rats, I expect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, by this time there was a cheesy whiff in the air, I'm sure.
Ooh. Ooh. The top
Yeah.
three bands on the main stage on Friday then was Lacuna Coil, Emperor, and Trivium, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yes,
Lacuna Coil, and yeah, it was. I don't think I've ever seen them before, but yeah,
I haven't.
enjoyable. Bit of.
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I think that kind of sort of goth metal kind of works quite well in the sun. Um, Interestingly enough, I think that contrast sort of almost alleviates it. But
I think what they
yeah,
do well is they have those
it was solid.
huge anthemic songs, you know, and
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing that works well in the afternoon. You know, you're a little bit tired, but these kind of choruses come in and lift you up, and
and they
yeah,
were the first band to spaff out a load of papers and paper and streamers and whatnot. And
yeah,
I mean, they were quite high. I mean, they were all sort of latched onto the very top of the stage. I'm thinking, who's going to clear that up? Because
yeah. Well, it
they were
kind of
there
is
today.
interesting because
So
then you've got like Emperor that following, but they've got like confetti just kind of blowing in the winds like over Emperor, which
yeah,
kind of isn't really what you'd expect for you know a band like that. But
Yeah, well,
Lacuna Coil were
neither's the
cool.
sparkly purple Telecaster, so
Well, I
well,
mean, that was the first major surprise, I think, of the festival for me was seeing, yeah,
the
Ishan on
lilac,
stage with a
lilac Telecaster. Yeah.
purple Telecaster. I was like, hang on, the Black Metal Police are going to have something to say about that, I'm sure. But you know what?
what are they? What were they like in the day? Because I've seen them in the daylight. They played Whack in 2006. They were
Right,
either directly before or directly after Whitesnake.
yeah,
I saw them indoors and obviously saw them at Alcatraz as well. And they were my band of the weekend, just fucking phenomenal. But
yeah, yeah,
how did it go across sort of that early
Incredible,
evening dusk kind of?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was still,
incredible.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was still light. You know, the sun was out. You know, I wouldn't even say it was dusk at that point. It was just, but yeah, first time I've ever seen them. So, I mean, I was just caught up in that. Really, it's like it's a band I've wanted to see for a very long time. A legendary band.
Mm,
You know that deliver the goods on record, and you know, within moments, it's like, yeah, they deliver the goods live as well, and that's it. You're just away with it then. A
majestic.
classy band, you know.
No, I mean, it sounded huge,
Yeah,
but just what it needed to sound like as well.
yeah,
I mean, and again, it just gets on with it. Not much in the way of, you know, interaction, but not, not being a sort of grumpy black metal git either. Just like, hi, we're Emperor, let's play some music kind of thing. Which,
Yeah, I mean
so yeah, let the
they seem
music
quite
do the talking.
jovial and just like it wasn't yeah like moody black metal. I mean the music spoke for itself. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
I,
I've been nearly 20 years since I saw them, when we saw them at the
It was
Astoria.
Astoria, wasn't it? Yeah,
Astoria,
yeah.
yeah, and I chucked my phone accidentally down a McDonald's bin. Um,
Don't remember that. Fucking hell.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was the first like excellent set, I think, of the weekend for me.
right,
Yeah, just they just the fucking they're
yeah,
the best at what they do. They really are when it comes to that old school but majestic,
yeah,
dramatic black metal. The songwriting is brilliant. All the dramas there. They've just even just the use of keys are just perfectly subtle with the little sort of
yeah. I
jump
mean
when you need it. It's just brilliant.
it's a masterclass, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, completely.
I mean, fantastic songwriter, and that kind of straight out the box, with Emperor. Even going back to the early albums, the intricacies of those
Yeah,
records, which was kind of like the opposite of what a lot of people have been used to with black metal. That kind of primitive sound, everything rough, and then you got a band like Emperor come out. And it's just the other end of the spectrum,
yeah,
intricate, majestic, melodic,
but still sounded
but
like proper black metal. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
yeah. That was a treat. That was a real
yeah,
treat.
good.
And
I'm glad they were good.
um, but a kind of a bit of a hairy moment because they were directly next to Nailbomb, who were a big draw, I think, for a lot of people over in the Sophie tent. So you kind of had to plan your. It was like that. I really want to see everything Emperor have got to offer, but I also don't want to miss any of Nailbomb.
Yeah,
So there was a bit of I mean, we stayed for the end of Emperor's set. I'm glad we did. And then it was like a mad dash over to the Sophie tent for Nailbomb, and
I,
it was packed.
yeah, assuming it was.
It was packed. It was uh like out, spilling out the door, sort of people, looking like this to see if they could see what was going on. But top tip, we kind of used the In the Abyss special, and you squeeze in through the bar and you go along and then down the side, and there's space. So in the Sophie tent, you can normally get a bit of space on the far side. And then Nailbomb came out, and it was like a hero's welcome.
Yeah,
It really was. And as soon as those songs hit, you know, it all just comes flooding back. What a fucking slam dunk album that Nailbomb record was. Every song was solid gold. The sound was a bit shit, but there was enthusiasm. There was, those songs, the right sort of attitude. And Max's son obviously taking on the role of Alex Newport, but he kind of wore the shoes well. I was loving it.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, look, I'm hoping that they come around and do more dates and some indoor dates, proper tours and stuff like that. Because at Alcatraz, they're on the main stage. They had only Machine Head had a bigger crowd at
Right.
Alcatraz over the weekend. I'll talk about it a bit more in the review episode, but something got lost because we were quite a long way at the back. So they weren't what I was expecting them to be. I'm
Mm,
sure if we were right down the front, it might have been different. But we kind of said to each other like, "Oh, this must be fucking great in a tent."
yeah.
And yeah, you put them in a tent, and there's just too many people. So getting that balance right is so hopefully they come back and do some dates.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as I said, the sound was pretty shocking, and I would wager that it's only that everyone is so familiar with the
Mm.
material that you can kind of fill in the gaps with your memories of that stuff. Um, Lovely moment at the end where kind of Max, ever the family man, brought on his. I assume they're his grandchildren.
They are, yeah. I saw the photos. Yeah, his grandkids. Yeah.
And they're kind of like wide eye with their big ear defenders on, like wondering what the fuck they're doing, being paraded in front of this like worshipping crowd. Um, but there you go. That's the kind of the Cavalera way, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, but Trivium then. So how did that work? Well, I know
Yeah,
that they've headlined it before, but Bloodstock
right.
was a much smaller festival last time they headlined it. So Did they step up?
I, I think they did. I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, so I said when we did the Bloodstock preview episode, I was talking about Trivium not being a band I really had, you know, any prior history with. So I was there out of curiosity, and it was a good headlining set. You know, it wasn't my favorite of all the headliners, but I was impressed. You know, as insofar as it's like, okay, I was expecting to be really like just indifferent and kind of like, all right, yeah, whatever. But it was good, and they had, the songs seemed to be, they carried, and plenty of pyro, plenty of spectacle things to look at, and they had guest appearances. So I want to claim a prize for my prediction that Ishan would come on,
Oh,
and
yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
and sure enough, he did, only for a brief moment. Reason, you might know the track. I because I've got no
It was
history. I
in
don't know
Waves, wasn't it?
In
They did with
Waves,
him.
what
Yeah.
track.
Waves,
Yeah.
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 So he came on. He fluffed the intro. You know,
Yeah,
but
it was kind of like there wasn't really much point in coming on, to be honest, I think.
yeah. He just kind of bellowed out a few screams. But I'm going to claim it as a win because that was one of my predictions. We also
Ding.
had a Rob Flynn cameo. Came on, and what did he sing? Symptom of the Universe, wasn't it?
To the
So that
universe,
again,
yeah, yeah, which,
another
yeah,
Sabbath tribute in there. We had a
I
cover of
did
Master
point
of
out,
Puppets.
I was a little bit fearful for the Saturday night because he didn't sound good to my
Yeah.
ears.
Do
Rob
you know,
Flynn, but
it's an odd choice, isn't it? Because it's Rob Flynn, can sing. Okay, I mean, it's debatable, but he does have a melodic voice he can use, but he sort of chose to sing Symptom of the Universe in that kind of gruff, like, Let Freedom Ring with a shotgun blast kind of tone, um, which was a bit of an odd choice for an Aussie cover.
yeah,
But anyway, it was a bit of fun. As I said, they dropped in a cover of Master of Puppets as well. We had a slightly self-conscious appearance from Three, from Sleep Token. And what made me laugh is it was preceded by, Matt Heafy is it Matt Heafy? Have I got the name
Heafy, yeah, that's the
right?
right
Yeah.
yeah,
one. Yeah.
Healy, not Healy.
Not
That's a
Healy.
different.
Not he. That's what I thought. All of a sudden, I
Not
thought, I
Healy,
know
no.
I've fucked that, haven't I? No, Matt Heafy um, did a slightly kind of coy intro where he was saying, there's a lot of conversation about what is true metal, and we're going to show you what's true metal.
Oh
And
no.
here he is, Three from Sleep Token. And then there was this kind of audible like, in the in the crowd. I mean, you had a few people that were like, hey, yeah, but there was
That was not the first time, not the only time we would hear an obvious sound of indifference from the
well,
crowd.
yeah, we'll
Get to
come to
that.
that. We'll come to that. But what struck me is even because we were watching from quite far back, and even from that distance, I guess you had the video screens as well. You could see Matt's had a slightly embarrassed look where he was kind of like, "Come on, guys, like it's Three," and yeah, um, so
They go heavy on Ascendancy in the set list.
Yeah, ascendancy heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
assuming that was the big inflatable kind of
Yeah, that was the
thing
album
that
cover.
kind of
Yeah.
came up.
Brownie thing. Yeah, 'cause I mean
Yeah,
they did the 20th anniversary tour with Bullet for My Valentine, didn't they?
Yeah.
So
That's to be expected.
look,
Yeah.
it's a classic album.
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
think
There's
so.
been no complaints, so it still holds up. And the rest of the material was sort of dotted around off the rest of their back catalogue. So
yeah, it was okay. I thought it was good. My only kind of reservation with me is it was a little bit. I mean, how do we put it? It's a bit Simon Cowell. It's a little bit,
Cookie cut.
yeah, kind of. He's a showman, and there's a lot of showy things that he does and he says, but it all comes across as a bit contrived to my understanding of
Mm.
it. I was just a bit like, okay, yeah, it's like, it just there was something a little bit insincere about the kind of upbeat nature of it. But it was a minor gripe. I went into that set expecting not to like it, and I actually, yeah, and I was like, do you know what? Fair enough. That was an entertaining headlining slot, right? I'll take it.
Fair
I
play.
mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not quite in agreement there. I thought it was, I think Matt Heafy is a sort of solid. He loves his metal. He's always behind it, so he still does his thing. But
Yeah, even
it's
back in
one
the
of those
early
things.
days, wasn't it? He was always in a fucking Emperor shirt or something,
Right.
wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I
I
mean,
don't.
he's
I'm not trying to suggest he doesn't know his shit, and he's done some fantastic collaborations, with other people. Um, it's just something about the performance for me was a little bit,
you like things to be a bit more raw, don't you?
yeah,
Ooh,
like,
we've heard
well,
this.
yeah. I mean, where have you heard that? Um,
Dark alleys,
yeah, it's yeah.
Helby's toilet.
I mean, just in the moment, I would imagine those things were said and done in exactly the same way for every performance they've done. Um, but look, it's a minor gripe. It's just a little thing that just pinged my
An
radar a bit.
observation.
Yeah, so fine. I wouldn't avoid seeing them again.
Just quickly then, before we finish this one, who headlined the Sophie tent later on the Friday?
Cataclysm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
But
That,
I mean,
that, for,
half of
that
our
for me is a really odd booking because
yeah,
Nailbomb surely should have headlined, but
yeah. I mean, like after Trivium, I was ruined, so I went back.
yeah. I mean, the
Uh,
others had already gone back by the time because we were the only two that watched the whole of Trivium basically in
yeah.
our party, and by the time we got back, half of that lot were already in bed.
rock and roll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
was.
we
Yeah,
we
I think in my case, I peaked too early on the Thursday, so I did a strategic early night on the Friday. So I
yeah.
didn't. I mean, I caught a bit of Cataclysm as I was passing the tent, and they were in full flow, and it was a busy tent. So fair play to them. I'd say they went down well. But yeah, I was in bed before midnight, as I said, as a
Literally, yeah,
strategy to get me through the rest of the weekend.
2 minutes before midnight.
There you go. See.
I worked it,
See, I
and
went to bed early and I still did it in a metal way.
I was up for a couple more beers, so I can't win.
Fucking hell. Oh, there you go. That's day one and day one, day two, and
Yeah,
day three,
yeah, but
effectively, isn't
there's
it?
plenty
So,
there's plenty more to talk about.
plenty more
So,
to come, which
well,
we will be back for in a couple of days. So
yeah, let's get into it. Part two.
yeah, so dust yourselves off, costume change, and we'll see you again in 2 or 3 days for part two. Until that point, thanks for listening and watching and all that, and stay metal.